Hi everyone, I'm here with a review and first impressions of my brand new Stihl FS 56RC. I'm really happy with it. This review is going to be from the perspective of a homeowner that uses his equipment pretty heavily, but I noticed that most of the reviews for these were coming from professionals, landscaping companies, and that's just a different perspective. So hopefully this perspective will be useful for those of you thinking about it more from the perspective of a homeowner. I was comparing this pretty in-depth to the FS70 from Stihl and also the Echo 225, the SRM 225. Did a lot of research on both. I don't have either of those here, but I did enough research that I think I can speak to why I chose this one over the others. First, just within the Stihl line, the FS56 and the FS70 have the same engine. The FS56 is the top end of the homeowner level trimmer, the occasional use trimmer, and the FS70 is kind of the entry level to the professional heavy use trimmers. They have the same exact engine. This is a 27cc engine with 1.2 horsepower. The FS70 supposedly has marginally more horsepower, a fraction more. Unclear whether there's actually any tuning difference or whether that's just the level of variability that can happen when you're measuring things. I tried really hard to find out what the actual differences were between the FS56 and the 70. The dealer and other sources couldn't really tell me. You know, I would have gladly spent an extra $60 for it if someone told me that the gearbox or the drive shaft or any components in the engine were actually better, but no one could really give me any of that detail. So I was happy to go with the FS56 for $200. Some of the differences on the 70 are cosmetic. The housing is a little different. It looks more in line with the professional trimmers. And it's also a little more covered, you know, when it comes to the spark plug and a few other things, but the controls and everything else are the same. One advantage that the FS70 has over the 56 is that this portion here, the handle, is a softer material. I wouldn't call it foam or rubber, but it's rubberized. It's a little softer, a little more comfortable. I can imagine that if someone's using it day in and day out as a professional landscaper, that might matter. This is a hard plastic. It's a very ergonomic hard plastic, but it is a hard plastic. Other than that, the controls are the same. You know, some of the things that helped me make the decision for the Stihl over the Echo are, although they're kind of at the same price point, targeting the same customers, there are some differences. The Stihl is lighter. It's 10 pounds versus 12 pounds for the Echo. That's a 20% difference. It doesn't sound like a lot, but I do think that's going to matter. If you're holding it vertically, doing some edging, or just carrying it for long periods of time, that 2 pounds will matter. Also, I just like the construction of the Stihl. Having formerly worked as a mechanic on some high-end cars, I can tell you that, you know, the attention to detail and just the way it's constructed and designed means a lot to me. It shows that, you know, there was a lot of thoughtful consideration for how things are laid out, how they work together. You know, obviously they both will get the job done. They both seem like good pieces of equipment, but just that level of detail and attention to detail in the Stihl was really appealing to me. They've got a couple interesting features that the Echo doesn't have. For example, with the start and stop, the stop button, instead of being a switch that you can accidentally forget to leave in the off position, it's a one touch and it reverts back to its on position. So once you turn the trimmer off, you never have to forget or try to remember to put it back in the on position. You won't get stuck pulling on the cord a few times only to realize that you left it in the off position. That could potentially happen on the Echo. Also, when it comes to the choke, instead of being a variable choke like on the Echo where you can just adjust it as a lever up and down, it's got three positions. It's got the cold start position, which is choke fully closed. It's got a half choke, which is for hot starts, and then it's got the run position. And what's really nice about the Stihl is whichever position choke you have it in to start, as soon as you hit the throttle, it pops right back into the run position. So you won't have a situation where you're trying to adjust the choke as you run it, or where you forget to move the choke, or, you know, where you're just dumping unnecessary amounts of fuel or choking it with air while you're running it. It's just a seamless transition as soon as you press on that throttle trigger. So also I like the guard better on the Stihl. The Echo has a more narrow guard. It's a guard that's just barely there. It's just a very narrow line with with a blade in it to cut the line at 17 inches. And I know some people prefer that, but the way I feel is if you want the guard on there, you want it to actually guard you from things, which this one will. It's still got the opening to let you see everything, but you can take it off. I mean, so if you want to do something where you feel like it's getting in the way, you can simply take it off. And the Echo doesn't really give you that option. It's kind of like always off. One big advantage the Stihl, in my opinion, has over the competition is there is a port underneath this guard that allows you to grease the gearbox. They sell a little tube of grease for $6 or $7. I don't know yet whether it's something you have to do every season or every couple of years, but as a former mechanic, that really spoke to me. The ability to grease things really extends their life. It shows a thoughtfulness and you know, a desire to make something that's meant to last a long time. So if you lubricate the gearbox, it's obviously going to last you a lot longer, and the ability to do that is great. One advantage I feel like the Stihl has, that the Echo has over the Stihl, is the trimmer head. The trimmer head on the Echo SRM 225 is what they call their speed feed. It's a trimmer head that does the same thing, but instead of having to pop open the cover and manually wind the line, you simply feed the line through the eyelets once they're lined up in the correct position, and then you crank it. And you crank it and it winds up the trimmer line all by itself, which I think is a pretty nice feature. It's not difficult to wind the line and reload it on this model, but you know, why not? It's certainly a nice feature to have. But the nice thing is you can buy that head from Home Depot for $29 and it'll fit on this Stihl. And so to me, that wasn't really a huge advantage because you can just simply add that to the Stihl. So for me, I was happy buying the Stihl and knowing that I could purchase that trimmer head. I'm gonna purchase it, and when I do, I'll make a separate video on adding it to the Stihl. It comes with an adapter to fit on the shaft here, and from everything I can tell, it should work perfectly. So that advantage kind of goes away from spending $29. And the Stihl is a bigger engine. It's a 27cc versus a 21cc on the Echo. So I was definitely, you know, at the same price point, getting the bigger engine is an advantage. The Stihl came with this strap. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know if I'll use it, but it was certainly nice to have. I mean, why not? I can imagine using it in certain situations. But both the FS70 and the Echo 225, the one advantage that they do have over this 56 is when it comes to the handle and when it comes to the loop handle, they both have a little more padding. It's not really fully foam, but it's rubberized, it's a little bit softer, and I can imagine that when you're using it over a very long period of time, that could add up to a little more comfort. Both the Stihl commercial line of products, starting at the FS70, have that. They have a little more, some sort of black, soft material here, and a little bit of padding on the loop. This one is very ergonomic, but it is hard plastic. The Echo has that. And so if that's important to you, the Echo 225 at $200 does have that softer material here and a softer, squishier material here at the grab handle. So that's one advantage the Echo does have. But overall, I'm very happy with the Stihl FS 56. Also, if you buy the Echo, a lot of people are buying them from big box hardware stores. You know, you're going to have to deal with, if there are any issues, you're going to have to deal with a dealer anyway. And at least in my area, it was much more realistic and feasible to go to a Stihl dealer. There's one nearby. And for the same amount of money, you get that ability to have any potential issues for the 4-year warranty that comes with it handled at the Stihl dealer. If you buy it from a big box store and have any issues, they're going to tell you to go find a dealer, mail it to the dealer, deal with all that, which clearly won't be as helpful for you if you do end up having any problems. They're all great pieces of machinery. You probably won't have any issues, but if you do, it's something to think about. All that said, let's start it up, see how it does. I'll prime it a few times. Let's try it at half choke and see what happens. And that's it. This thing is very light. As soon as you hit that throttle trigger, the choke fully opens, calming down the engine. Nothing to adjust. It's very light. Not that loud. Not as loud as I expected. tap it to stop.